you said that they would pull the trees up by the roots?
Yes, yes. I got several pictures. Beech trees. They're probably now the beech trees probably this one particular I got in my mind. It's about 5, 6 inches diameter now, so that's probably a 80 to 100 year old tree, 120. Beech trees got like a 300 year lifespan or more. And yeah, there's 6, 8 inches of roots. You can tell it at one time was pulled straight up out of the ground, and it lived. And it wasn't like all the roots just broke off. It just like it pulled it up enough to where it. I don't know. It's just odd.
Well, let me ask you about the twist. How did that twist look to you? Can you describe it?
Licorice. I mean, just like you grabbing a towel to wring the water out of it, and it busted it all too. It was like it the that 3 inch tree busted in like three different pieces in a twist, and it was green. It was green, still had green leaves on it and everything. And we started hearing kids, 2 or 3 kids, jabbering, talking. Um, you couldn't make out nothing, which now we know that being, like the um, Chinese jabbering samurai language that
Mm-hmm.
they say Squat speak. But it's like 2 or 3 of them real low over in them bushes. And when I walk down through there in that, it just so happens right in that loose dirt, there's about a 17 and a quarter inch print. But it was made real different. It was a 6-toed. And it wasn't just like our footprint with a extra toe on each side. It was like the very center one was uh, like the center digit was longer, and then it tapered off on both sides. But the heel wasn't wide. The heel was very narrow, like probably 3 inches, 4 inches wide. And I got my phone out, and right over the hill, right in front of us, I seen a nice size one, but by the time I got the camera up, my phone, and took a picture, it had done went down on all fours, and you could just see a little bit of its back. So it was one of them. Hey, it's the Sasquatch, but it it looks like tree limbs, right? You really can't tell. So I
Mm-hmm.
sent it to a friend of mine, and he lives up in Pennsylvania. He got some good computer system where he can analyze stuff, zoom it in good, and clarify things. Well, about a half hour, he sent the picture back to me, and he said, "You was paying attention to that one on the left." He said, "What about the one on the right?" And I said, what do you mean one on the right?" Well, he sent me another close-up screenshot of it, and there was one probably 60, 70 feet to the right, down over the bank, its head popped up. You can just barely see a little bit of its chest, and you can see its head. It's cone shaped. You can see it. You can see, you can make its face out just like I'm looking at you. But the very next day, buddy of mine had to come pick me up. I had a doctor's appointment. When we went out the end of my driveway, here there is 4 trees, uh, 4 5-inch in diameter, stuck in beside of one another across from my driveway in an X shape. And there was no dead trees there to fall and just accidentally make that happen the very next day. And that cable's down. I went down to the other end. That strapping was ripped just like you took a pair of scissors and cut it.
Have you ever noticed the length of hair or anything?
No, not really.
Okay.
My neighbor brung me a length of hair, and it looked very coarse. And he said, it was a night he had a little dog to carry on over at his house, and chickens was carrying on and everything, and that big hunk of hair, it was probably 7-8 inches long, very coarse. It wasn't like fine hair; it was coarse, And I sent it to Jeff Meldrum, and I don't know, I waited around 3 months, whatever, and I happened to call that college there that he's at. He answered the phone, and I asked him, and he said, I asked him, I said, I had sent you a hair here about 3 or 4 months ago. I just wondered if you'd able to analyze it or anything. He said, oh, that coarse hair? I said, yeah. He said, well, Sasquatch don't have coarse hair. He said, they got fine hair. And he said, that's in West Virginia. He said, there ain't been no sightings there. He said, they're all out,
That's bull. Yeah.
yeah, right.
Yep.
And I said that too. I said, well, very respectively, I said, you're wrong. They're everywhere. They just ain't
Yeah.
Northwest or Pacific Northwest. They're everywhere.
If it helps you any at all, I've got a friend of mine that's got hair. And he sent me pictures of it. Bear knows who I'm talking about. And it looks coarse. And it ain't exactly straight hair, but you can tell it's coarse. Did you happen to notice the tip of it just by chance?
It just all big. I tell you what, it was as coarse as a horse's mane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why don't you tell them about the that night we come out there to your house the first time? Tell them about that night while all went on.
Something was moving around. That's why.
Yeah, that was the night I got pelted with rock.
Yeah.
Tell them all about it.
I mean, I didn't get hit with rocks. You did, but there was something walking on around us. Just out of flashlight range, wasn't it?
And what were we doing?
Just down there cooking out. Oh, he's doing roast hot dogs, Hank.
Just and we were just down there having a good time. And
Now, one other time when we was up there by the house, I don't know if it was you or Mike and them that hickory nuts started getting thrown at us. I was thinking you was up there one time when something hit. Yeah, you was up there. Y'all was out there one time when something when nuts was hitting the truck.
yeah,
At one time, Mike and his sister was out there. God dog, you'd hear it coming through the air, through the trees. They throw that thing 200 feet through leaves, and I mean, it jarred me and him both up. It hit the hood on that truck, son. It sounded like a sledgehammer. It's big old walnut, and there ain't no walnuts close to mine. That's just it. So,
something I can give you some.
no, but I mean that's odd. I don't know. Well, when Chrissy was working on my gate. Like I said, she stayed out there for a couple weeks, and I went out to go get some material. And when I come back, she was shaking. She said, "Paul, there's some SOB up on the hill throwing rocks at me." I said, "Sweetheart, I just come by there. There ain't nobody on that hill throwing. Ain't nobody up there to throw rocks at. I mean, rocks.
Mm-hmm.
That's Blacktop Road. There's pieces of asphalt laying around up there, but there's not white limestone rocks, and they was limestone rocks about twice size of a softball laying down there. She said, "Paul, that thing just missed me probably about 2 or 3 feet." And when I mean, it didn't come straight. It come way she showed me, and where we're standing, it arched way up, and that rock just come straight down. Wasn't like throw to, it just arched it like that, like it was basketball or something. But great God,
Mm-hmm.
from the top of that hill down where my gate is and that curve is probably what, 200 yards?
Not bad. Yep.
That's a long way to throw a pound rock, and it scared her. It bothered her. She said, "You ain't leaving here anymore." She would go out and get material. I'm going with you.
That's understandable.
But and she heard kids talking too. When we was putting up fence and stuff, she heard kids talking too down the hall. She said, "Who's in their house down there?" No, ain't no kids down there. And that was before a neighbor that moved around the hill there from me, with his kid. So they're, I don't know how long these things are juvenile, but I've heard that child chatter, if you will, a bunch over here. Same way like them howler monkeys.
Here's a question for you. Whenever that day we were out there sitting there talking, and we were talking about God and the Bible and everything else,
Mhm.
how far off do you estimate that the gibberish sounds that we heard? How far off do you think they were from us?
Oh, I'm trying to remember which time it was. Was that when it was behind the house or in front of the house?
We were sitting above your house, there on the bank,
That's right. That's right.
right
That's
there
right.
where the
That
road
pipeline
goes
is
down,
that pipeline.
and
Yeah,
right there.
that's right. That's probably been
Been about 4 years ago, maybe 5.
right longer than that. But that's every bit of 150 yards.
But it sounds like it was right behind me.
Well, yeah. But that's one. So that means now the hollers carry sound good.
Right.
Okay, so I'm telling you, I can hear people literally. I've heard coon hunters that I know was coon hunters. They come out and we know the people, and I know how far they was, and you just literally sit there and listen to them talk out sound carry. But
Mm-hmm.
it still had to be where it sounded like it was coming from. We could look and see there wasn't nothing.
Yeah, there wasn't anything there.
So
We both looked.
yeah, so it had to carry 100 to no more than 150 yards.
And when we heard it, I looked at you and you looked at me. And I said, "Is that around behind me?" Because it sounded like it was
Yeah,
dead straight off
yeah.
the middle of my head, straight back. And whenever it sounded like that, like you said, it sounded like there was 2 teenagers down there going, like you could hear them, but you couldn't hear what they were saying.
You couldn't understand it. It's
Right.
gibberish. I mean, you hear like a laugh. I mean, yeah. I don't know if it's actually laugh like we would do, or it's just a part of their language and pitch of sound. But I mean, it's what it sounds like. You
Yeah.
know, they are communicating in whatever language they are. And I know you can go online and pull this up. There were some recordings back in the 70s that was recorded very clear, and a lot of them, I guess, like over half hour recordings or more, and very, very clear, done on some good sound equipment. And when they analyzed them, um, it was like 4 or 5 languages together, and you know what we call the uh, samurai speech. You know, and when you slow him down, it's like it is words in different languages said all together and fast. That's the reason it don't sound audible to us. You know, so
Hmm.
maybe you know when we say, well, they just ain't a dumb animal. Well, I mean, you can't say they was a dumb animal, or they'd be 10,000 pictures and of them mating and dating and walking around and kissing and everything. When if they just dumb animal, I mean, we got all kinds of pictures and videos of dumb animals. You know, it's like if you go over in Africa, where you know people that hunt jaguars. Okay, they go over. There's a couple places over in Africa, different countries, that they are thicker than a hair on a dog's back. Okay, jaguars are, and these are expert trackers. You know that can get you on a hunt, get you on an animal, and sometimes this still takes 4 or 5 days for them to find one, and that's the highest concentration that there is. And so, if a dumb animal can be that smart, I think be very foolish to think that these are dumb animals.
What do you think it is then? Just your opinion.
Well, I mean, they're Sasquatch. They are the hybrid race. I mean, they ain't nothing but biblical hairy giants. Is all they are.
Okay. All
They're
right.
very intelligent. Yes, they got this. They are part human, but they're also part angelic.
Okay, so
I
you're
mean,
thinking more of the
it's
Nephilim type or what?
Genesis 6. Even the
Genesis 6.
Bible talk. I mean, even the Bible talks about um, David's mighty men. You know, his top soldiers. It talks about one of them jumping into a pit with 2 lion-like men. So what's
Mm-hmm.
that? That's a hairy. That's a hairy part. That's what a lion-like men. They got teeth. They got hair, but they're built like a man, built like a
So you
human. He
so
just
so
describes Sasquatch.
in your opinion then, so this let's just go species, okay? So this type man species uh creature, whatever you want to call it, has existed and think at any time it has evolved to anything. Uh, maybe it's gotten smart. I'm not going to say that. Well, I mean,
It
there's
ain't
the
got dumber.
possibility.
It
Yeah,
ain't
well, you
got
know what I'm
dumber.
saying.
Yeah.
It's evolved a little bit since that time, and it's existed all this time.
Well, yeah. I mean, not so much evolving, just got smarter. I mean, what do? They sit back and watch us, don't they?
You right, right.
They sit back and watch us. Well, if you study the Bible, study the Book of Enoch, God created watcher angels to be over every different part of His creation. Thus, that very name, watcher angel, that means they watch, they report, they learn, they observe. Well, that's the reason a lot of these, what we call cryptids, ain't ain't went full blown retard, and we got to fight them like a you know like a batch of hornets because we disturbed them. Is because that is their nature, is to watch and observe and avoid. That's in their nature.
Hmm. Now I know they're curious. I know that. Uh,
Very curious.
yeah,
Very curious.
and sometimes I think that's a quote. If there's a downfall to them, that is one of them. That is one of their I will get you caught habits that they do.
Well, I
Mm.
mean, they got kids. I mean, I don't know a kid, no matter how um, uh, well it is corrected at home and disciplined.
Mhm.
Every kid's going to get into something, right? Every kid's going to do something they shouldn't be doing, right? Don't go over there. As soon as mom and dad ain't there, that's where they're going, right? Don't go in that
Yes,
shed. They're
sir.
going to go in that shed, right? Well, I
Yeah.
mean, they ain't no different.
Let,
They
let
ain't
me go.
they ain't got TV. I had a friend of mine say this one time, and I think he's right. They ain't got TV, so we're their only form of entertainment. They sit back
Hmm.
and watch us.
But I'm gonna be honest with you. I mean, I think they're animal. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Everything that,
there is animal DNA in them. No, you're not wrong. You pick go and order the book that um, Scott Carpenter and them put out. Okay,
yeah,
uh, the Sasquatch genus something I don't remember the name of it. You can go on his website. His son still promotes it and they sell it. They finally got laboratories to do the DNA testing,
yeah,
and they disclosed why that the mainstream scientists can use the excuse that all this has been contaminated, or this sample's been contaminated. Somebody touched it. Somebody sneezed in it. Somebody done something. Well,
right,
because the gene sequence that like there's a certain way development for every organ we got. Okay, our body tissue, our lungs, our heart, our spleen, our vascular system. There's a certain DNA code that has to happen at a certain time because that's how God made us, right?
right,
Well, God didn't make them. They got part of us in them, but the other is from the fallen angels, the giant. So
okay,
their DNA can mix with anything. Now, right back to what I told you about the fallen, about the watcher angels. Okay, uh, when you study symbols on these gods of the Old Testament, okay, Baal, Dagon, Chiam, Astroth, all that stuff. Okay,
hmm,
they have a symbol. They look like something. Baal, he looks like a bull because his image is a bull, a calf, because he defiled the beast of the field, because he was
hmm,
the watcher angel over the beast of the field. You take Dagon. Dagon's a fish god because he was over the fish of the sea. You see where I'm coming from?
I
You
do.
take Moloch. Moloch's image is a bird god, like an owl, because he was the watcher angel over the birds of the air. So his image is also his former job title. Would that be a good? Would that be a
Yeah,
good? You know, his former job title. Okay, so um, you do have so their DNA can mix with anything. So you go back to evolution. Okay, well we know evolution don't line up with the Bible. That's wrong.
right,
But wait a minute, they got some evidence showing undeniable that this happened. This creature was here, and all of a sudden, boom, this changed to that. Okay, all
right,
right. Well, when they got undeniable evidence, what do you do? Well, got to start looking at the piece of the puzzle different. So,
hmm,
a T Rex. Go. They disclosed this one, so you can find some information on this. A T Rex. That's what 5 ton animal, full grown,
mm,
5 tons, 6 tons. It has the exact same bone structure and when I say bone structure, I'm talking about not in size, but where the tendon attaches to the bone. Okay. Now,
hmm.
this is some big words, educated words that I can't, I'm not qualified to say. Okay. But it's people that studies bones and stuff like that, whatever they're called, because like an owl, every all owl species will have the same traits in common. Then you look at the different, just like a human skeleton. Okay, it's a human skeleton. We can see that. Now we're going to look at the pelvis. And we'll tell you if it's male or female, right?
Right,
Well, every species, every animal that God made's got the same kind of traits. So they'll have a tendon that'll attach a certain way, and if it's a juvenile, it'll be a certain way. If it's an adult, it'll be another way, but it'll still have these same traits. Well, a T Rex has the exact same bone structure as our North American turkey.
Yeah, I've
Wait
heard
a
that.
minute. Wait a minute. How do you get that? Because there was a giant or a fallen angel coming through some seed on an egg one day, or a female turkey, and then them eggs hatch something. The Bible uses the term contrary to nature. When it uses the term defiled, that means there was a sexual transaction, defiled it. And then when it says it turned it contrary to nature, that means it changed the DNA and the outcome of that species from the way God created it. Just
Hmm.
like when the fallen angel slept with the women, thought they was fair. Remember, in
Hmm.
Genesis 6, it says they begat giants. Well, ain't no human supposed to be 30 foot tall,
No.
right? 6 fingers, 6 toe, double row of teeth, right? No human's supposed to be like that. So that is changing something contrary to nature. Not all dinosaurs was made of God. A lot of them was defiled.
Hmm.
You see, they
We
was
call them
changed.
monsters.
Yeah. So their DNA is not the way it's supposed to be. I told you that long story to come back around to this. Their DNA, how their lung is supposed to develop. Otherwise, the scientists can look at that. Even the scientists that um, Scott Carpenter and them had to do it. They said, look, this, there's no way this lung should have developed in this creature. There's no way this heart should have developed or be working. According to our DNA, it's different.
Hmm.
But but we don't understand or have the knowledge of sequencing their DNA, because the final result was that 110 or 113 some samples that they sent to that lab, every one of them come back that the female DNA was human, but the father DNA did not exist on Earth.
Hmm.
See? Because
Yep.
these are creatures made contrary to nature.
And they'll never find the father. Never find it. From what
They're
I
illegit.
understand.
They're illegitimate, right?
Well, from what I understand, and I know I know a guy that talks to Melvin Ketchum all the time, and she will even tell you, let's put it this way: the things that she studied, the hair samples and stuff like that, they never had the root of the hair. They've never had it. And that's where I believe if they're going to ever find that there's a father figure in that DNA, it's going to be in that root, if it at all. Okay, that's just what
Well,
I've been told.
there's a father. They just can't sequence. They got the DNA from all 113 samples. It's just the father's DNA does not exist here on Earth. It's not human.
Mm-hmm. So they don't know what it is.
No, but
That's what,
it all falls in line with what the Bible, you know, it
yeah.
all falls
I'm,
in line with the Bible, you know.
uh, I'm going to ask you a question. Do you think that Sasquatch is primate, human, or spiritual in nature as an angel? What do you think are
It's
the
you, it's human and spiritual. I mean, those things. Um, I started studying. Well, studying. I just it just dropped in my lap one time, uh, researching some stuff about frequency levitation. Now you
Mhm.
can go online and you just pull up all kind of stuff. That's just awesome stuff. Well, I got a copy. I got a file that talked about how they originally found or discovered frequency levitation, and
Mhm.
they had a giant skeleton that was dug up from Ohio, one of Ohio mounds. Okay, it was
Mhm.
well preserved. The skeleton, not the body, but the skeleton. Okay. And you remember one of the Jurassic Park movies where they 3D printed something, and they had the voice chamber of the Velociraptor. You remember that? He blowed it.
Yep. That
Okay.
was Jurassic Park 2. It was the
They
second one.
um they had
No, I'm
this
sorry, 3. 3.
they had this
Right.
skull, and they was hooking up. because there's different um, valves, if you will. It don't breathe. These giants don't have nasal passages the way we do. They don't breathe through their nose. Everything's made different in their skull. Okay, everything's made different. Just like when you watch Avatar, how it said that they had like carbon fiber bones. Yeah, that's where Avatar got that from.
Mm.
But they was hooking up air tubes to the different um, holes and things that was going into that skull from the back and side of the spine. And they were just putting air pressure through, just playing with it, experimenting. Just why is that there? Maybe that creature, maybe that was a different artery to carry blood. They were just it was just a
No,
skull. You with me? So,
yeah.
and all of a sudden, when they turned up air pressure, um, stuff started moving in the room, fly off a table, hit the wall,
Oh,
and
really?
they could literally twist that skull around. So the front part of that thing's, we would say face, could point towards a plate or a glass, and it would move it. So
Mm.
that means their nasal passages and all that stuff was like like an echo chamber, whatever,
Mm.
you know, it's different. And it was putting out different frequencies that would move things in the room. That's how they discovered frequency levitation.
Mm.
So it don't take much imagination for me to say then, well, that's how they moved 50-ton stones 5,000 years ago, because frequency will move heavy objects, will make heavy objects like it. I mean, it'll make a 50-pound uh, rock weigh an ounce or completely levitate. I mean, they do that. You can pull it up on YouTube. I can see the video. I've watched it much time. Um, Check and see if the name of it's called Coral Castle down Florida. It'll
Mm.
be black and white video. This man had 2 and 3 ton coral rocks brung to his house, and by the next morning he'd have them stacked up in all different kinds of ways. And he had a tripod with a black box at the top of it. I believe it's called Coral Castle. I might be wrong, but that give you a, a name to start on. And that was back in, like, I don't know, 50s, 60s. He was doing that, and his coral uh, house and resort, whatever that he made down there with a couple 100,000 tons of coral rock, uh, still down there. You can go down there and tour the thing, and there's pictures with a big, like 20-foot tall tripod with a black box underneath it. And that's how he moved with frequency. That's how he moved in big 2 and 3 ton coral rock.
Mm. It's amazing. Amazing stuff.
Mm-hmm. So,
All right.
so
Have you
I
have
mean,
you
you
got
look back
anything?
at them giants and stuff like that. Why? That's probably why they thought they was gods. They pointed something and it moved. It looked magic. No, it was frequency, it was technology.
Okay.
But they could do it. They knowed about it. They could physically do it with. So probably by them being spiritual, they know things that we don't. So I mean, it would be foolish to think that. Okay, it's like this. Everybody, how many um, um, hunting cameras is out with no glow lights? There's millions out on the market right now, ain't it?
Mm-hmm.
Millions. If they was a dumb animal, how come we ain't got hundreds of millions of pictures? Because
I don't know.
they ain't a
Here,
dumb
here-
animal. Other
here's what.
people have seen those things. I've had things going on at the house. I would put out my game cameras. That it would stop for 2 or 3 weeks. I move that game camera, it come right back to the same spot. They can see
Hmm,
that. That no glow, that infrared, they can see that. I believe it hurts their eyes.
I wonder about. That's a weird thing. I'm gonna put it to you that way. Uh, I don't see that they got much white in their eyes at all. I think their eyes are developed for nighttime vision. Pretty much, they can stand daylight. They have to, but their vision is actually better at night than it is during the day. I feel like.
Would say
Uh,
so. I would say so. Well,
I
I
feel
mean, that's
like
just a simple question. I mean, that's just a simple question. If right back, oh, it's just an animal. Oh, well, okay, then they're very highly intelligent. How come now? And all or most of the pictures that's coming out of Squatch, if it's not AI, they're all daytime pictures. Most of them. Very few
right.
nighttime pictures. It'll be their back, won't it? It'll be their back humped over, walking away or something. I
Mhm.
but there's millions of game cameras out there. If they wasn't smart, how are they avoiding them? I
That's
mean,
it.
it's just simple. That's a question. How are they avoiding them if they're not smart?
Well, here's the thing. You even have to disguise, camouflage audio recorders. Just to be honest with you, if you're out there in the woods and you're trying to get something from a particular area, now I'm not talking about like a campground. I'm talking about from a spot in the woods somewhere. You have to camouflage that thing so well they'll spot them. They sure will.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, we're talking about a creature too that could probably sit if it's in eyesight of you a half a mile, what, a half a mile, and can still see you like you was sitting across the living room.
Mm.
I
It's just
mean,
hard to
that's just
fathom.
my opinion. That's just my opinion. I mean, we go hunting. How many times has deer? I mean, we can see what about if something moves, we can see it 100 yards in the woods. But how
Yep.
many times have you been sitting there all day, not seeing nothing? Pull that scope up. You're just scanning around, looking. Well, you got your scope zoomed in, and boom, a deer's face pops up. But it's 100, 125 yards out there. You can't see it with your naked eye. But
Right.
that deer's sitting there watching you, right?
Yep.
That deer's
Yep.
sitting there watching you. It sees every little move you make. Now that's just an animal. Now let's take something that's got some
Higher
angelic.
intelligence.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it'd be very foolish to think that they're ignorant. you know, it'd be
I
very
never did.
foolish.
I never really considered them ignorant. I've considered them to be more animal, primate, if you want to call it that way, than human. I'm gonna say it that way. Because every actions that I talk to people and listen to their behaviors and stuff like that tells me it's an animal. At least that
Man,
part of it is. But their cuttingness and things that they do tells me they've got some kind of human in them, or something is up here that's registering that they have. I ain't gonna say problem solving as to the extent of what we can do. I don't believe they go around making knives. Now, I believe they can crack a rock and figure out, okay, this thing is sharp, and let's do something with it. I figure they can do that. Now I don't know. I got no proof of that at all. But I'm just saying there it's very highly intelligent. So hard for me to sway
eh,
over that way
well,
without
I understand
getting
that.
past
I
the animal
understand that.
aspect.
But I mean, start looking. Okay, first thing we would think animal. Okay, it's got to be like a gorilla. Got to be a big primate. Okay,
Hmm.
they
Or
screw. They screw.
chimpanzees.
They screw up a lot. They're habit forming. They don't eat even monkeys that they thought was extinct for the last 150 years. Well, when they
Yeah,
found them over in Africa, they come up and start petting them on the face.
yeah.
Animal, an animal that has never seen human or an animal period, they do certain things out of habit because they're an animal. These things don't.
No, no,
But
they're
I
not.
understand but I understand where you come from. I really do. But I mean, there's just something about an animal does things that a human won't. Now,
Well, here's
now let's say they're mixed. Let's just say they're mixed. I got about
okay.
another 5-10 minutes here. Let's just say they're mixed. Let's
Mhm,
entertain that. Let's entertain that thought.
mhm.
The Nephilim DNA is the only DNA that's neutral that can mix with anything. So you're right back to the same square point on that. We're dealing with still dealing with biblical giants.
Mm-hmm.
Then that fallen angel DNA can mix with anything, plant, animal, uh, anything. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, hey, it ain't worth an argument. I would say they do got some animal in them, absolutely. But on that DNA sequence that them 113 samples did, it come back female, human, father, uh, unknown.
Mm-hmm.
But I have no doubt that there's some of them that has got animal in them. There's no reason why they couldn't have. But God did not create human to be able to mix with animal. There has to be a binder. There has to be something that's neutral that allows it to happen. See,
Well,
I mean,
see, in an earlier test, back when I was doing this kind of stuff, uh, they always said unknown primate, unknown primate. Every time you sent something in, either they could find out what it was, and if they couldn't, they could only go back to unknown primate. That was as far as they went with it
they
until
kept
the.
they kept that agenda and that scenario because
Mhm.
they did not want to bow their knee to say that there is something there that come from creation and didn't evolve. Primate, primate, primate. They buried that in everybody's head. Primate, primate, primate. Well, look, it's hairy, looks like a gorilla. Well, I
What?
I had an uncle that was hairy and looked like a pig, but he wasn't no oink oink. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But when we hear things so much, that's why TV is called programming.
yeah, it's drilled in your head.
Television. We're telling television. We're telling you our vision of it. That's why it's called programming. You know, because we're programming the hearer. So sometimes, even though things that we have heard all of our life, if we can step out of the box a little bit and look from the outside in, we might see a whole different picture.
And that's why I like listening to Bear so much because the stuff that he tells me and stuff like that. It's hard because yeah, I was drilled with like you said, program that it's a primate, this and that. But even I have to admit that it's very, very highly intelligent, and I've even said it. Chimpanzees are smart, gorillas are too,
Absolutely are.
but
Absolutely are.
but their brain is not wired for it to do what these Bigfoot are doing, and
But
them being bigger, taller, their brain
a
size
chip,
is bigger.
a chimpanzee and a gorilla and a mountain gorilla that's been extinct that he just found will still stand there and look at you and pick its nose. This won't.
Yeah, well, and that's what I'm saying. This has got some kind of evolution to it. It is involved some kind of how, some kind of way. But see, I'm wanting to set back, in which we're going to have a talk, me and Bear, about this, is to look at it from the human aspect of it. I have to rethink of how I'm looking at it as a mixture of a beast and man. Okay, how am I going about now to say either attract it, hunt it, learn about it, whatever, you know? So now I'm having to take a different point of view, which he's going to have to help me along, for me to get past the animal part of it. Does that make sense to you?
Well, sure. Now, let's go back to the Book of Enoch, and Genesis, and stuff. Um,
Now hold up, hold up. All right, let me go this route with you, okay? And I'm sorry to interrupt you.
no, you're
Uh,
fine. I do got to
here's
go here in about
something.
5-10 minutes.
Yeah, I got dinner waiting on me too. Here's the thing I see about Enoch, and it's just I really haven't heard much about Enoch until the last 2 years. I'm basically King James version of the Bible. Enoch's not in there, not as a central figure. Let's put it that way. So the Book of Enoch, you got to admit, talks about some crazy stuff, you know,
Sure,
and
sure.
I, so whenever I'm thinking of a Bigfoot or a Sasquatch, I don't put my arm up and lean on Book of Enoch. Okay, I don't even put my arm or anything like on the Dead Sea. Uh, Not saying they don't exist. They ain't saying whatever. And here's the thing that kind of keeps me in that realm of well, maybe. is because of Matthew. I think it was Matthew that talked about when I think it was when Jesus was born that animals talked night or something like that. In other words, things went unnatural when Jesus was born that night. Uh, I've also, as far as the spiritual world, when geez, I think it was Saul or David or somebody uh, put out that anybody that dealt with spiritual natures like soothsayers, psychics, for all I know, and
Yeah,
said
yeah.
anybody
The Bible
found
talks
doing
about
that,
all that all that suffer not a witch to live.
right, right, and at one time they were falling. Whoever it was falling from grace. Let's put it that way. And went to one of them and the lady told him, said, you know, I know who you are. You put out an order that we are to be killed, you know. And he said,
That's
no, you know,
Saul.
it was a Saul. That's what I thought it was. I thought it was Saul.
That's Saul.
And he wanted the spirit of I
Samuel.
can't remember. Is it Samuel?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
Samuel acted like he was kind of a little mad about why did you call me up, you know?
yeah, yeah. He said that you'll be with me tomorrow in paradise. Otherwise, their life was going to be taken, and it did in battle, both of them.
Mhm.
And
And
King
that's what
David
I'm
went
saying.
back later and killed. And King David went back later and killed that witch.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he killed the witch of Endor.
Well, see, and that's what I'm saying. For her to do that, there has to be a spiritual side to the nature of it. You see what I'm saying? And I'm not talking about specifically toward Bigfoot. I'm just saying the Bible does speak of some strange, because me and you and Bear and everybody else, when we go outside of our house of our walls, you know, we're in a what I call a nature or natural world. Okay, you got to do your job. You got to think about what you're doing. You're driving, whatever else. Your contemplation of what a certain creature may or may not be, or spiritual nature of what may or may not be, is not the same. You're back into what, as Paul was referred, there are certain things in the Bible that are cardinal and non-cardinal. And what he means by that, there are certain things that are in what we call a natural world. And then there are some things that are in the spiritual world, is what I took by that. So I was saying it in a roundabout way. The Bible is what even though it leads me to think that there are other things, just the book of Enoch is just something new to me that I'd have to get accustomed to. That I heard at one time it was part of the Bible. I don't know.
Well,
But right now I
well,
have to be
well,
on this
I mean,
side.
it's mentioned a lot in the Bible. Enoch is just like
Mhm.
Jasher and some other. But now too, you got to look long and hard. There's many different versions of the Book of Enoch. I got
Yeah.
the original translation, and I'm telling you, it's pretty thick. It would make about four a thick. It would be as thick as four regular Bibles, the original version, the original translation, and I got it. And just a quote out of that real quick, when there was some, if you want to say, good giants that was very humble and good to man, had the
Mhm.
exact same dream that God gave um, Noah about the flood. So they petitioned Enoch, asked him to go petition God for repentance on their behalf. Enoch done that. God said he will not give them repentance, no, not forever. And the spirit of the giants would be called devils.
Mm.
So see, that's where that term comes from. Um, so when you look at it like that, they was some you can look through history. There was some very cruel giants. There was cannibals, and there was some that wasn't. But
Mm.
regardless, the ones that we could say are kind and humble and has helped man, okay, I'm just throwing it out there, okay.
Mhm.
It don't make no difference because they're still cursed to God because He said He'll not give them repentance, no, not forever. So,
So
you know,
let me ask you this then, and I know we got to get off. Uh, Noah and the flood. If this was going on before Noah, and God destroyed all of that, and the only thing left was what was on the ark, How did Bigfoot come around after that, or Sasquatch?
They was more insurrections of heaven and more fallen angels fooling around with man afterwards.
You think so?
Had to be. We got them.
And no, that's the whole problem.
I
I can
mean,
sit here and talk about this and that. When it comes down to the nitty gritty, I know I've seen one. Okay,
mhm,
you know
sure,
you've
they
seen one,
exist.
you've shot one. Yeah, you know they're there. And sometimes I wished I didn't, because then I could, go half cocked or crazy. You know what I'm saying? But I know in my heart, in my head, I know I saw one. I believe Bear. I believe you. I believe a lot of people that have said they've seen or heard or whatever they've done. Okay, I've seen videos that I feel like is 100% authentic and not no AI
Mhm,
or something tripping around. Flat Rock's one of them. Bear tell you that I totally believe what Flat Rock has filmed. You know, and uh, knowing this and trying to explain it to me is hard. It's hard to do. I can't make people believe it. You got to see it for yourself. But I've been beyond the point of trying to prove its existence. Just like our talk tonight, talking, smells, this and that kind of stuff. It's basically teaching me more about its habits, its nature. Let's put it that way, if that makes sense to you.
mhm.
So,
I got a
uh,
cousin. I'll tell you this real quick. I gotta go. I got a cousin, um, and um, Bear knows him. They was um, they was up behind his house picking blackberries one time. Took his
mhm.
grandkids over to the edge of the field playing. They was around the bank there a little bit picking blackberries, and a little bit the grandkids come back over there, kind of a little bit upset, not bawling and crying and scared, but they was a little upset. He said, "Papa," said, "why is that big hairy woman on the other side of the field motioning for us to come over?"
Oof,
Yeah,
oof.
yeah,
Well, they got an affinity for
and
kids.
and I've talked to them kids. I mean, it wasn't no joke. I mean, it was on the other side of that, probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 acre field. I don't remember, it's about halfway growed up now. And it was over just motion for the kids, come over, come to them.
I don't know
Yeah.
what the affinity with kids is. I don't know. Because you hear it in Indian tales, and I've talked to a guy that seen one when he was just a kid, 6, 8 years old, or something like that. And they seen one, and it was chasing. I don't know
I
what the
thought
affinity is.
about, I thought about using a recorder, a remote control recorder with a
Mhm.
lithium battery. So that way it would I could just set it out there for a while, wipe it down with no scent, just set it out for a while, and then have something where I could come back like a remote control, 100 yards from it and hit it, and it'd be like baby crying. I wonder if a
I,
man might draw something in to get a picture.
that's what I'm wondering too, because I was actually going to talk to Bear about that.
Mm.
We do houses stuff like that at campgrounds. I wonder if we get a child crying, what it would do. As far as that night, particularly if they would come in more, would we have more activity? Uh, the problem, and I've said this to other people, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong, if I'm thinking right. Often I've heard Crybaby Hollow, Crybaby Bridge. And
Mhm.
if you go across this bridge, you shut your car off, and next thing you'll know, you'll hear something like a baby cry.
Mhm.
I'm wondering if that, and the old Indian tale was that Sasquatch would sound like a baby crying to draw the women out where they could kidnap them or do whatever.
Mhm.
And I wonder if they're still doing that to this day.
Have you ever hunted coyotes?
Yeah.
You
Yep.
call them
I still
in.
got calls.
You call them in. You call them in, and if you don't kill that thing, if you shoot and miss, you'll never call him in again, will you?
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
they're smarter than coyotes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No doubt about it.
The
All right.
partner, I gotta
Well,
get. I gotta get. Good
yeah.
talking to you. I'll leave you here at the bear. All right.
Hey, man, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Appreciate it.
Take care.
All right. See you now.
Come later.
All right. I'm going to go.
Anything
Bart.